Hello everyone, my name is Oli and today I would like to show you how I made this custom flower wreath. It's a very easy and fun project. It cost me around 100 Canadian dollars and took me 2 days to make it. But I could probably cramp it into one if I wanted to. To make this wreath, you would need a regular plastic hula hoop. Mine is from Walmart. Some faux flowers and greenery, something that matches your decor. Another thing you would need is some spray paint that would match the color of the cord that you're wrapping the hoop with. Rope, I was choosing between sisal and just a cotton macrame cord, a thin nylon cord for hanging, wire clippers for the flowers and a pair of scissors, rubber gloves, a hot glue gun and glue sticks. Also not shown here, a crochet hook, some clear zip ties, and ribbon that would match in color the rest of your materials. First thing I did was spray paint the hoop so you can see its color in case there are any gaps between the rope. Once it was dry, I used the glue gun to make 2 through holes at 2 and 10 o'clock in order to drain the water and then use those holes for hanging later on. I started gluing the rope at the bottom middle part because I knew that that's where my flowers are going to be, and that way any mess-ups I might have at the beginning while figuring out the technique will be hidden. What worked best for me was working in small 2-inch sections, that way the glue didn't have any time to harden, and also overlapping the rope just by a millimeter or so, just so it squeezes out the glue in the direction I'm working in instead of in between the loops. Another thing was that I chose to work with the whole spool instead of cutting sections of rope to avoid unnecessary tails. But because of that, for every section I finished, I had to unwrap the spool backwards. Once I reached the through holes, I threaded both ends of the nylon cord using the crochet hook. Then I adjusted the loose parts so that it formed a nice triangle when hung. After trying it on the wall to make sure it looked good, I cut the extra ends and tied them in knots. Then I continued the wrapping, working very carefully around these sections. Also, I made sure that my knots were positioned in a way that would place the cord on the same side of the hoop. I went really slow this time just to make sure I cover up the hole really well and that there is nothing sticking out of there. As I reached the last loop, I was so relieved because this whole process took me 2 hours. It felt so good to be done. I could not wait to start playing around with the flowers because that's the fun part. I hung the hoop and marked the middle. That would be my reference point for when I lay out the flowers so everything is symmetrical. My next step is to arrange the flowers in a way that pleases me and take a picture for future reference. In other tutorials, I've seen people start with laying out the greenery first, and that's what I did too, following with the largest and brightest flowers. Then I filled in the gaps with plainer flowers and finished with some clusters of buds and some berries for texture and volume. Once I was happy with the result, I took a picture and then prepped the flowers by taking the different coatings off of the stems to reduce bulk. I also separated some plants into leaves, buds, and flowers, and that gave me a bit more variety to play with. I secured the Dusty Miller plants using my zip ties, but looking back, I should have only secured 3 or 4 of them and leave the rest loose, so it's easier for me to slide the rest of the flowers under them. After the Dusty Miller, I started attaching the bigger flowers based on my reference pic from earlier. I'm so glad I took that picture, otherwise I would have been worried that I'd mess something up. This part of the project is honestly the best one, so take your time, don't rush. Put on some good music, make yourself a cup of tea or coffee or wine or whatever it is you like. And just enjoy yourself. To mount the flowers to the hoop, I used the wire stems and slid them under a couple of zip ties. The parts that didn't have a wire, such as leaves and buds, I left for final stages when I could just glue them on. I also used the glue gun to help me with stubborn spots and places that need a bit more stability. One tip I would like to share with you is something that really helps me with any large project I'm working on, and that's to occasionally look at it through a mirror. That way you're able to view it from a different angle and see flaws that are otherwise unnoticeable because you were too close to the project. When I practically finished the wreath and lifted it up, I noticed how bad it looked from the top, where you could see all the zip ties and the different wires. And since it's going to be hung pretty low, I knew that this part will be noticeable, and so I knew I must hide it somehow. At first I thought to go over it with the macrame cord, but then I thought about using ribbon. It would look so much better and faster to do as well, and it would add a new texture and make it look more interesting. I did my best to wrap it tight, yet make sure I'm not pinching or flattening any stems, just wrapping around them and overlapping the ribbon to avoid gaps. Then I used hot glue to secure the ends. I love that it looks like the flowers are growing from the hoop. I used ribbon I had lying around from presents I got, so it was all different colors and lengths. I chose a couple of silver ones and a golden one and decided to start wrapping from the middle to the sides, switching the colors as I go. That way, even though the colors weren't the same, it was all symmetrical and looked pretty neat. Once all done with the ribbon, I added a few more small filler flowers for additional volume and texture, gluing them straight to the ribbon, and fluffed everything up. I'm so excited to see how it looks in my daughter's bedroom. I hope it matches the style, I hope she loves it. Quick spoiler, I added a string of battery-powered fairy lights the last minute, and that brought the wreath to a whole new level of cozy. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and now to the big reveal.